Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is the anniversary of JFK's birthday, the man who was shot in Dallas, the 35th president killed on I-35. And, of course, on Patreon, we talked about how it was a fitting day for Dallas to die today in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. And look at the score right now as they paused the game with 6:46 left in the third. JFK was killed at age 46, the 35th president, getting killed on I-35. And, of course, in Gematria, Catholic equals 35 and 46, as does Thursday. And here we are on Thursday. It's also the 149th day of the year. Again, JFK's birthday anniversary. 149 is the 35th prime. But the big fat 35 was going to play against Dallas tonight. Here's the notes for today's game. Top scenario, Stars can stay on 16 home wins. 16 breaks down to 7 on a 7-date numerology, and they can fall to 3-5, a lot like 35 versus the Oilers for the year. Not to mention Edmonton also equals 35. But you got to love how the score is 3-5. And notice Connor McDavid, the big star of the Oilers, the modern-day Gretzky for the Oilers. Today is 136 days after his birthday. Stanley Cup equals 136, and now he'll be in the Stanley Cup Finals. It'll be a rematch of last year. Last year, Florida defeated the Oilers in the Stanley Cup. It was a big tribute to JFK last year in the NBA and NHL playoffs. Remember, in the NBA, it was Boston over Dallas. Boston's where JFK was mayor. Florida plays just outside of Parkland, Florida. JFK died at Parkland Hospital in Dallas, the 214 area code. Remember the Parkland shooting in Florida, next to where the Floridas play on February 14th, 214. Again, all these things are connected. But yeah, made a lot of sense for the Oilers to close it out today. And I suppose it's not quite over. Maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse, but it looks pretty over. But I have to laugh that late in the game, the score is 3-5. Remember, Dallas also equals 41, and they're about to get put out 4-1. And not to be outdone, in the NBA, we thought the Knicks would keep things alive today. Again, I saw somebody leave a comment yesterday in my public stream because I mentioned how there was a narrative for the Knicks to potentially get closed out 4-1 on Carmelo's 41st birthday. And I saw somebody leave a comment, I'm going big on the Pacers. If you're that guy, I hope you're on my Patreon if you're going big on anything, because if you're on Patreon today, you wouldn't have been going big on the Pacers. I thought the Knicks had the better narrative today. Again, if you're making bets and not supporting the Patreon, again, shame on you. You should be supporting this work. But top scenario, Knicks can become 2-2 at home versus the Pacers, and the Knicks are blowing out the Pacers tonight. Knicks love 22. They can get their 61st win of the year, New York Knicks. And here's another thing that's intriguing. This is the kind of information you get on the Patreon. Or I guess I talked about it in the stream. Maybe I didn't write it down. I thought I did. We definitely talked about it in the stream. But tonight is the 76th game of the NBA playoffs. 76. So the next game back in Indiana will be 77. And if it made it back to New York for Game 7, that would be the 78th. Obviously, that Game 7 is the last game before the finals are set. Remember, New York equals 78 in Gematria, so does NBA Finals. And that means the first game of the finals would be the 79th game of the season. This is the 79th NBA season. And, preseason, if you were with us on Patreon, I said I even gave it out pretty much for free on regular streams why it should be the Thunder this year to represent the West, because they are the Sonics who won the championship in 79. And there's probably something about the playoffs this year begin on April 19th, the day that Oklahoma City blew up. Not to mention Oklahoma City's just right up the Interstate 35 from Dallas. But yeah, top scenario tonight was the Knicks. And like I told you guys yesterday, 1-1-4 doesn't really miss with the Pacers. Pacers are falling to 11-4 in the 2025 playoffs, like 1-1-4. Indiana Pacers love 114. But yeah, you can see all the top scenarios there. So again, the knowledge does pay the dividends, and also having a very solid day in baseball today. like the Phillies to get it done in Game 1. The starting pitcher for the Phillies, he could have picked up his 22nd career win. Braves love that, 22. Thought the Blue Jays would keep the A's on 23 wins. Blue Jays 23, plus they had a few other things going. So, yeah, just another all-around good day. Again, if you're not on the Patreon, you really should be. I hardly charge anything for the best information in the business. And by the way, for my troll, the man who learned this from me and actually makes a pretty good living decoding the NHL, who said Dallas was a lock for the Stanley Cup. How did you turn into a troll, and why did you make Dallas a lock for the Stanley Cup? Maybe you should come back and support Teacher. Might not have misled so many people there with your Dallas lock, because they're about to get closed out. They're about to get closed out. Shame on you for becoming a troll. Anyway, that's all for now, Truth Seeker. Until next time.